Mortal Kombat 11 is one of the most exciting games coming to Switch in 2019, and I just got done playing a ton of it. I'm here on location in Los Angeles where I attended the reveal event this morning and then got to put the game through the paces. Gabe, it was an incredibly bloody afternoon.
Zach, I am happy to hear that. Mortal Kombat is known for its gore, its blood, and its very satisfying gameplay, and I'm happy that that tradition is being carried into the next entry here.
Yeah, it felt like Mortal Kombat has always been brutal, but this one is just smeared in blood, and it's going to be interesting seeing all of that on Nintendo Switch. Not that this is the first time we've had intense, mature-rated content given Doom and Wolfenstein, but still, it still sounds weird in my head when you hear that Mortal Kombat 11 is coming to Switch. Now, I played on PlayStation 4 today. They didn't have any Switch consoles at the event, and when asked about what do you think about that delay rumor in Europe, they, of course, didn't have anything to say, so we'll have to wait and see on that front. But I assume the game will be carrying over to Switch in an almost identical capacity, and I got to play all the characters that have been revealed thus far, and I got to see the opening cinematic, and I got to experience a ton of blood. So I thought what we'd do here is run you through my 4 favorite parts of the game thus far, the 4 best features, and then one that has me kind of worried.
All right, Zach, with that, get us into the first thing here.
Before we get to that list, let me just say that the game is a ton of fun. I really enjoyed it, and as expected, Ed Boon and NetherRealm have put together a pretty darn awesome product. There are some twists and turns that are a little unexpected. The game is slower this time around. They've added fatal blows. There are separate meters for your different special abilities, but in general, it's Mortal Kombat, and the more and more I played, the more fun I had, the better grasp I got, and it is a gory good time. And guys, I can't emphasize enough just how insanely intense this game is. It may borderline on too much, at least for me, but if you're faint of heart or squeamish in the slightest, this is where you gotta bail. This is absolutely where you gotta go, because this game is truly so violent and so bloody. Alright, so first up, and it kind of ties into that blood and gore, is the graphics and the presentation. The game looks absolutely incredible, and I really noticed them pushing beyond what they did in Mortal Kombat 10. That goes for the brutality, the bone breaking, the eye gouging, but also just some of the flourishes and tweaks. The characters look really great. There's some nice filters, especially during the fatal blows, which we'll talk about in a moment, and even just little things. There's one in particular that blew me away where it actually ties into Donkey Kong, believe it or not. You're picking your characters, and then you go to stage select, and it shows little black silhouettes of the 2 characters selected fighting on the stage, and you might only see it for a second or two, but it's just a nice little touch, and one that ties into sort of those silhouette stages from DKC Tropical Freeze. I didn't think I would be making a comparison between Diddy Kong and Sub-Zero, but hey, here we are.
I'm very interested to see how that works, because I didn't get to play this like you did, and you mentioning that there is a parallel at all to Donkey Kong. yeah,
it's there.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and the stages, of course, are more dynamic than they've been. The cutscenes looked great, and Raiden going all rage mode on Shinnok was super cool to see in that cinematic. That takes us to the second feature or point here, which is that the story seems really cool. Ed Boon was very jazzed about the fact that this time around in the story, you get to see a character that apparently, Gabe, has been running things from the get-go, which I think is very interesting to know that, hey, from Mortal Kombat 1, this character named Kronika has been pulling all the strings, and just now in Mortal Kombat 11, she appears because apparently Raiden is messing with the timeline too much, and she needs to set things right.
I don't know how I feel about that right off the bat, just because, like, it's a little bit of a asterisk on the story then, because it's not like Ed Boon knew that this character existed way back when they were making the original ones. They've obviously gone back and figured it out, and I'm sure it's gonna work and it's gonna be really cool. But they've almost introduced like a Thanos type character here, where like, hey, this is the one that's been pulling the strings all along, and now we finally get to see them years and years down the line.
Right, yeah, and apparently there's going to be a big emphasis on time travel and characters facing their younger selves, so I'm not sure if that will call back to old games and plot points from those. But yeah, there definitely is a big emphasis on time travel and Chronica coming in and dealing a lot of damage. She's also the first like female lead villain in the franchise, so that's interesting. I expect her to be playable. They didn't confirm or deny that, but given how past games have gone, I'm guessing that Chronica will be a character. And that carries us into number 3, which is the roster thus far, and just the exciting prospect of who they can put in here and what they're going to do. We obviously have mainstays like Sub-Zero, Scorpion, we have Baraka, we have Raiden, we have Sonya Blade. We get Scarlet back from Mortal Kombat 9, a DLC character from that title, and she was my favorite person to play as. We'll talk gameplay deeper in a moment here, but Scarlet is really awesome, and in a game that emphasizes blood and guts, the fact that she is all about manipulating blood, heck, one of her variations is called Blood Priestess, and that definitely plays out. She can use blood tentacles, blood spears, blood force fields, blood balls, a lot of blood with Scarlet.
Yeah, it makes me happy that so many of these returning characters are here, and it'll be very weird to have a Mortal Kombat game without Scorpion or Sub-Zero in it. But what about the new character? Zach, tell me a little bit about Garrus.
Garrus, I don't know how I feel about Garrus, Gabe. I was really excited that they did debut a brand new character. We also got to see Kung Lao, Liu Kang, Shao Kahn, so they're going to be in the game as well. They teased Cabal. Garrus was my least favorite of the 7 that I got to fight as. He's slow. I don't really like his moveset that much. He kind of reminds me of an aggro Sandman with time mechanics. He does have a couple cool attacks. He can kind of freeze opponents in place and do what he will with them. But I don't know. I thought it was kind of a letdown. I had a lot of fun with Baraka, a lot of fun with Scarlet. Sub-Zero and Scorpion are great as always. Not feeling Garrus, which that's has me feeling both types of ways. One, it's like, the first new character, not really for me a winner, but at the same time, it's like, okay, who else do they have? What's going to fill out this roster of 25? Who are they bringing back? Who are new faces? And almost Smash Bros. Style, probably going to get a lot of cool trailer reveals, given that this game is out in 3 months. And we only have 7 squares filled in.
Yeah, a second Nintendo parallel to fill in here. That's very interesting. First we compare it to Donkey Kong, now to Smash Brothers, and I agree with you. I think it's going to be super cool to see some of these character reveals going forward. I don't think that they do like an individual trailer for everyone the way they do with Smash. That stuff is like really, really cool, but maybe for the new fighters. And I also can't wait to see who they bring in as DLC. Mortal Kombat does that like almost better than anyone else, excluding Smash, because Smash is doing a stand-up job of that. It's probably a little bit early to talk DLC since we don't even know the full roster quite yet, but I can't wait. I can't wait to see what this final character roster is going to be.
Yeah, it should definitely be pretty cool. From there, we'll go to the 4th really awesome feature, and that's the customization with a K. They've had customization in Mortal Kombat before, and Injustice obviously carried things even further down that avenue, and in here they incorporate a lot of those elements, so you will be able to make your own variants of the fighters. They have all sorts of different pieces of gear that change the look and the feel, and they have attachable sort of like slotted items that can go in and do minimal modifiers to your moveset. Of course, you can turn all this off for ranked play. Then they have abilities that you can select and deselect to equip for a specific variant. Then they have skins and colorways for the characters. Then you can pick finishers. You can pick your intro. It's very customizable, and I think that the collection mentality that Injustice 2 had, if you enjoyed it there, you'll be a real big fan here. They haven't really spoken on much about single player. We've heard rumored that it's going to be very different and very just a totally new and fleshed out approach. So I'm wondering how they'll tie all of this in. Did you get into the whole customization aspect of Injustice 2, or are you more a fan of just being the OG tried and true characters?
I mean, I'll mess with it, of course, but I like being the OG, just because too many options, for me at least, is a little overbearing, and I didn't get into Injustice 2 as much as I would have liked to begin with, so that's just a part of it that I didn't tinker with as much. Plus, I do like to even though I don't claim to be amazing at these games, I do like it to be a little bit more competitive and more like fairly balanced. I don't want to go in there and play against someone that just like is gonna demolish me only because they've played it way more than me. So I try to stay away from that as much as I can. But I am excited to get some of the gear and the more just visual customization. I'm all for that.
Oh, absolutely. Those looked really cool, and even the way that they showcase and highlight the different blades, the different masks. It's a very dynamic process where it kind of like, for example, Scorpion will throw out his spear and then it zooms in on the spear, and that's then how you change and see the different spearheads that you can utilize, or one that's on fire, one that has a little scorpion, and very cool, again, from a presentation standpoint. But I tend to agree with you. All the little tinkering with specific abilities and added bonuses and buffs, not really my thing. I like that you can go in and make as many variants as you want and sort of then have a litany of Scorpions, a litany of Sonya Blades to pick from. The skins were pretty darn cool, and seeing all that incorporated into the Mortal Kombat world I thought was a lot of fun. But yeah, they have obviously the preset variants that they believe are best, and then you can go in and customize whatever you want. Okay, so the graphics and the presentation, the story, the roster, the customization, I'm high on all of those. The one that I'm a little worried about is the major gameplay tweaks, and that would specifically focus around the new offensive and defensive meters that replace the singular meter that we're used to. So now you start off the match with 2 bars of defense, 2 bars of offense, and to take things even more weirder, the way that you enhance your attacks is now called Amplify, and the moves that can be amplified are all done in a specific way. So rather than just popping the trigger to either enhance or meter burn an attack, you now will need to know the specific button input to amplify all of the amplifiable specific attacks.
Yeah, this sounds like it's going to be a little bit more hardcore, and while I didn't get to try it quite yet, this doesn't sound super worrisome to me, because I feel like once you pick your main character, you're gonna go in there and figure out the amplification for each one of the attacks pretty quickly. But I do understand how it can be worrisome just because they're changing up a formula that has worked for so long. And even just meter burning, right? It was one button. Now it's going to be specific buttons for each move. I can see how that could be a little daunting, but I'm hoping that they know what they're doing over there, and it's going to be way easier to pick up on than we think.
Yeah, I think the goal here is to add more depth and have you focus even deeper on your character of choice and learn them inside and out. And it's just a different, I guess, strategic style as well, because you start the match with these meters, so you can use them from the get-go, and then they auto-refill, as opposed to, needing time to sort of build and boost them up in previous entries. So it totally changes things. I felt like the amplified attacks were not as strong, and that's probably because you can get them more easily and you start the match with them. They did introduce some other even deeper gameplay things, like a perfect block, and they have the fatal blows, which we mentioned. Your health gets below 30%, and now you have an option to do a left trigger, right trigger pull, and activate a very brutal and very damaging move. It's basically like the X-ray attacks have now been converted into these fatal blows, and rather than being done with a full meter, they're now done under 30% health to try and I guess tip the tides of battle. But yeah, I'm sure it'll be okay. It was weird enough and different enough that a number of people around me were kind of confused about how, when you first pull up the game, it was like, wait, why are we not enhancing these attacks? What's going on? How do we utilize this meter? And then you figure it out, and you kind of have to learn and memorize, okay, if you're going to use such and such attack, it's down and square on the PlayStation 4 controller, or this attack, it's just mash X. They can be a wide variety of inputs for amplification, but in general, I had a ton of fun with the game. There's some nice little nuances as well that don't fit in a full category, but one I wanted to point out is you now can see the exact amount of health you have left and the exact amount of damage that you're dealing, which I thought was like a nice little, very minor and maybe not even requested, but just a subtle little feature that I thought was really fun. And as you mentioned, Gabe, I cannot wait to see this roster expand and develop. And still holding out hope that we get the Switch version day and date. Nothing has been said officially on that front, but it would be great to get this in April alongside the other platforms. Hopefully it performs well. This one will be a ton of fun to take on the go. Mortal Kombat battles on the Switch, set up in tabletop. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait to get this game on my Nintendo Switch, and I'm sure it's going to translate over quite well, or they probably wouldn't even be doing the port, so I'm glad they figured that out.
Indeed. Lots more to talk Mortal Kombat, especially as we approach launch, characters, single player, and more, so we will be back as soon as we learn a more fully fleshed out picture of this very fleshy game. Let us know your take on Mortal Kombat 11 and what you think of the new developments and the new character in the comments down below. How do you feel about this gameplay tweak, adding the offensive and defensive meters, separating them, and requiring amplification, a totally different type of enhancement for attacks? Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. In the meantime, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Have a fantastic day. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video and are pumped for Mortal Kombat 11. For now, though, SwitchForce out.